Welcome back to Smart Takes. I'm Kristen Bankert. I'm a creative director here at St. John, and joining me this morning is Jennifer Harmon, and she is an executive vice president here at the agency and also leads our restaurant practice. So good morning, Jen. Thank you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well now that I have my cup of coffee.
I have my 14th cup of coffee, and it is equally good. They're all good. I'll probably have 3 or 4 more before lunch, and then I'll stop.
Okay, well, that should go fast then.
I could probably talk faster, speed talk.
Well, since we have our experts on restaurants here, I wanted to take an opportunity to maybe do something a little different today and do a podcast version of a case study, because one of our longest tenured clients and one of my most favorite clients, restaurant brands that we worked on together, is Zaxby's. And we have such a great story to tell. When they came to us, how many locations did they have?
They only had 110 locations.
Right. And they had virtually, they started in Statesboro. So they started College Town, and really when they grew, they expanded into small towns, right? So they had virtually no awareness.
You're correct. No awareness. They were in mostly rural towns. Mm-hmm. Many of the first 110 locations were owned either by Zach and Tony, mm-hmm. who were the founders, Tony Townley and Zach McElroy, or they were owned by some of their relatives, or they might have had a number of them. If I think back, I guess they really were all owned by either Zach and Tony mm-hmm. as corporate stores, or they were owned by individual franchisees who in many cases were friends and family.
Sure. So family business. It's such a great story, inception story. Can you tell us a little bit about how the idea came about?
I think we would have to give the most credit to Zach McElroy. Mm-hmm. I think that Tony did such an outstanding job of helping the brand fund through the years and to kind of guide the growth, financial growth, mm-hmm. And to really look into how to do the financial side for franchisees, and they called them licensees, so it was a licensee agreement. And I think that was where Tony's acumen came in. Mm-hmm. But, one of the things about Zach is really Zach was on the forefront. He created the brand. He worked the brand. He created all the sauces. They hand breaded. They, put them in a bowl. They dredged it in a buttermilk mix. They hit it 3 times on the side of the bowl, and that was like the training,
right?
The back end,
right?
It was fresh, not frozen chicken. Mm-hmm. They had crinkle fries, which are really almost cult,
so
following
delicious
today. Absolutely. They had pellet ice, which was unique for the brand, and it was really good crushed ice that people just love and clamor for, and there's very few places that offer it. And they had, I would say a better dining experience, an mm-hmm. experience inside that was very much, I think, on the forefront of fast casual. So it was quick service in the sense that you could get it through a drive-through, mm-hmm. but it was fast casual in that the food really was handcrafted. Mm-hmm. The product did take a little bit longer to serve, and they used to have a sign outside that said, you have to wait a little longer, but it's going to taste a lot better, or something like that.
I remember that.
Remember exactly.
Yes.
And, there were a lot of things like that in order to catapult from 110 stores to, over 900, that they had to change. They had to find tools that allowed them to grow, tools that allowed them to have, better back end practices to be able to get people through the drive-through quicker, because, people went crazy for it. If they knew what Zaxby's was, it had a huge following, still has a huge following.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because when we got them, the people that knew them loved them, and their food was exceptional. But they had relatively low brand awareness, and people didn't even know Zaxby's was chicken in a lot of places. So there was an interesting challenge to build that brand. And so we had to do a lot of things, starting with our food photography right at the beginning. That was the first thing we told them, we've got it. Your photography is not doing your food justice. So that was the first thing we did. But let's talk about, we go from 100 stores to over 900 stores in our tenure, all that in between. It was a really fun, exciting thing to be part of.
So much fun. I mean, I will say that, this agency absolutely loved it. We
Mm-hmm.
lived and breathed it, and we loved it. And we had a ginormous team really
Yes.
built up over time to help them and grow them. But I would say, it didn't have great awareness because the term Zaxby's didn't mean anything to anybody. Did have a big chicken in the logo, which helped a little bit. We modified that a bit with the silhouette chicken, so it was a little fast to read in some
Right.
way. They still have the big chicken, but they used that silhouette chicken to kind of be a faster read for certain things. The brand had exceptional plans to deliver on their promise. They've trained back of the house well. The problem was it was such a high intense business as far as the back of the house. It was difficult for them to have their speed of delivery times were very slow. And and yet they had such great fans, people were willing to wait for it. But when we came on, they were at 110 units and they were looking to grow. They were, we really helped them create kind of the approach to how you grow a licensee. So we built local store plans for spending. We built the brand plan, both the full package, all the image advertising, all of the promotional advertising. We created the promotions alongside their culinary team, which was excellent. Also a very young team and,
Yes.
and kind of a team that didn't have a lot of experience. I sometimes think that Zaxby's did so well because they came fresh. They came with what's the right thing for the guest.
Right.
How do we deliver on the promise? Here's what we said we were going to make and how are we going to do this? And the store model was exceptional. It was beautiful stores, a little bit more expensive to build. They definitely invested in the dining room experience. One of their greatest things was rolling the salads. And the salads were made with all fresh lettuce, all fresh vegetables. They didn't pre-make them and sit them in the refrigerator. Everything was made from scratch.
And they were robust. Those salads were massive, so you felt like you were getting a value for what you spent because they cost a little bit more, but everything was fresh to your point, and they were like overflowing out of the bowl.
And it was all chicken. The salads had chicken on it. The tenders were outstanding. They had a really good chicken sandwich that was made with tenders. They had eventually they rolled a boneless wing, which was outstanding. And then they had all those really good sauces. They had a lot of fun homegrown kind of sayings, and some of the first stores had just a lot of graffiti and fun artifacts on the walls, and a lot of times it really represented the community, which really I think resonated with the community. So one of the things I think that Zach did was really empower the franchisee, the licensee to commit to that community, to link to the schools, and to not all of them were able to do that. Some of them didn't have the time. Some of them were not as effective running stores, and they had to kind of learn that. So some of the things that we did, first we came in and we knew that we had to strengthen the brand positioning and strengthen that it was seriously good chicken, the best chicken there ever was out there, and it was worth trying, because once you tried it, you would come back again.
Right.
We wanted to build strength around the things that they made by scratch, and play off their sauces. And we named a number of their sauces, and we helped them grow their sauce use. And all of that, again, was made by scratch. And today, those same recipes are being used in their sauces today. They're just prepackaged.
And I remember certain phrases when we first started working with them creatively that made at order, not made to order, made at order, because that helped kind of put it in perspective for the customer that you're going to wait an extra minute or two because we don't make it until you order it, which means a lot. It's not sitting under one of those heat lamps and, petrifying,
Exactly.
which I think, customers, if you're going to spend an amount of money, you do not want your fried chicken to be shriveled up.
Exactly. And and I think that they advanced with using tools in the kitchen and timers, and they were able to monitor traffic eventually both in the drive-through and in the dining room. So that helped them to know how many roughly tenders to put on, in the fry in order to keep up with the traffic, so they could minimize the wait time, but it still always was made fresh to order. It was never sitting under a heat lamp.
Yeah.
And I think that they have kept most of that in play. Their food is fresh. It is made pretty much when they order it. But, every restaurant that's able to, empower their teams with great tools, with digital timing to allow them to anticipate their traffic and their capacity and their volume at different times of the day, that's really helpful. So I will say that, Zach definitely embraced innovation. And even though he created a great store that was really just all labor intensive and really successful, when he got into the 100 store, he knew he had to do other things. So he came to us to grow the brand with the story, to tell the story of the brand. He used other really great partners to help in the back of the house, to help, figure out how to, package foods and the amount of, so they had less waste. I mean, all of those things.
Operationally, they were lockstep. He also allowed us to, he trusted us creatively. So
Absolutely.
like the evolution. So when there was no brand awareness, and I think our first campaign was something about real chicken, because that was the point of difference, is it's not frozen. It's always fresh. It was the best tender you could get from a chicken.
Right.
So they prided themselves on the quality of the ingredients. And then we moved into, talking to customers, and they're like, there's no word to describe how good this food is. You just have to try it. And that evolved into indescribably good, the tagline that they used forever and ever and ever. And, we captured real people eating it on camera and getting their honest reaction, which was great. I mean,
that was the campaign, I think, that really set them apart. And we were able to build co-ops by market or by single store that allowed every single unit to have a lot of media support.
Right.
And, we looked at every opportunity for them, and we made sure that whatever we did resonated. So we did, a lot of research, making sure we understood the stories. We did focus groups in people's homes. We talked about how do you eat Zaxby's, and there were people that would eat I remember in some of the stories that we told, they would say, that when they ate one of the Zaxby sandwiches, they'd start on one side of the half and get down to the corner, and they'd hold it, and somebody ate their corner, and they were so sad. There were just so many
like
fun
idiosyncrasies, like they had their special way of eating it, or the way they sauced it, or whatever. So we tapped into that kind of zeitgeist of the Zaxby's fanatic, and that's really what it became. It became fanatics. People would seek it out. So when they grew initially into those kind of still smaller towns, people would, on their road trips, they would be like, we're stopping at this Zaxby's. They would map it out, which was awesome. And that's just an amazing thing creatively to tap into, and just general marketing when you have that kind of love.
When we realized how far out of the way they would go to get to one, we built a roadmap, a summer roadmap trip, so that they could map out their trip and know where they could go, where they could stop, and how they could get there. And at that time, maybe as we were growing, they were 200 and 300 units. So if you were in the Southeast, you probably had a lot of choices, but it was, another 5 to 10 years later before they really started growing outside of their footprint, and with pretty calculated growth, and with really good training for their franchisees, really good support. We built a field team for them.
Oh my gosh. That was a difference maker, because every franchisee felt like they were getting our personalized attention. For every big, ginormous, week-long brand campaign we did, we were doing a flyer for a local baseball team to support that local franchisee who wanted to show how embedded and committed he was to his community. That's what was so special about that relationship, I think.
It was. And we, when we were doing all of our due diligence in the beginning, we were realizing how hard some of the stores had to work to get the sales going. We said, what can we do to really get them committed to the community? So really, from the moment they opened, we did a soft opening where we, had a certain number of people come in and try the chicken, and we invited the, officials and, whatever was considered sort of the important people of that community in to give us a trial. And then we opened with a bang after that, and we went full bore, and we brought media in, and we committed to the fact that they were going to get that attention, so that you didn't have to wait a long time to know what that Zaxby store was down the road, what they served, what they did, and why would I care about it.
Right.
It was from the beginning, so they were kickoff, but we prepared them. And I would say another thing that they did a really good job on was training. They would train about 4 to 5 weeks. In fact, all of us trained at the store ourselves to be able to advertise it. And, that really helped them. And they were, that, and I don't believe any of that's changed. We worked with them for 16 years. We have not worked with them since Goldman Sachs bought them, but I am impressed with what they are continuing to do, and they're evolving, and their technology is great, and they're really embracing a lot of things that we put in place. And I would say that, the great thing about the knowledge, I would say, of St. John is that we really know that a franchisee is putting their hard-earned dollars.
Right.
They're working night and day. Something breaks, sometimes they're the ones fixing it. And particularly with Zaxby's in those first 5 to 10 years, they didn't have the systems in place. So they were really, those licensees were on the front line, and they were doing it, and we really understood that. So anything we could take off of them, from communication to connecting them to community to creating messaging around some issue. If they were under construction across the street, we built signs for them. They helped them redirect their traffic. I mean, anything that we could help them with. So we have the brand side, which had an incredible team of which you were on.
Yay.
And you did such a great job. And I loved how we evolved the campaign, and I want to talk about that. But then we had the field team, which was totally committed to the individual markets.
Yes.
And we had enough that, no individual field person had many more than about 20 stores on their plate, and they could really be there for them. And then that also took the pressure off of the corporate stores and the corporation to have to provide that.
Right, because they knew they were being taken care of. It was like the best example of true partnership. I mean, I think that term is thrown around a lot in our industry, but when you look at the relationship that we had, and I mean, for how many years with Zaxby's, it was a true partnership. We were in it, we were invested, we were involved, and we genuinely cared about their success and wanted to do everything we could creatively on the franchisee side to make them succeed.
And we are still rooting for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I love them. They're I know you do too, and everybody here wants them to be incredibly successful and to enrich everything that we helped to start and to keep growing. And I really think we're already beginning to see that.
Not to mention, you can't quit those crinkle fries. So
you can't. Absolutely. And the crinkle fries and the salads were amazing.
Oh my gosh, it's all so good.
So when I go back to the campaigns that we created, that we played out across all fronts, because the small stories played out in the sense that there were small stories in every store and in every community, and then we evolved that into celebrities who also had small stories.
Correct.
That were in many cases real. In fact, I don't think we ever had a celebrity that wasn't a fan of Zaxby's. We really required that. That was just a part of sort of truth in advertising.
Right.
We did look for certain kinds of celebrities to tell certain stories, but we had so many great stories. And I always will remember, and you did this campaign, and it was fabulous. It was some of the best work I think we've ever done. As we used Thomas Rhett and Brett Eldridge, and they were just on the cusp of being famous, and we sort of played on the fact that they had a yin and a yang with each other. And I got there that day for that shoot, and you were there, and you were working with Jennifer, and we were just having a great day. And Tom's came in, and he got literally tears in his eyes, because he said, when I was a little boy, every single summer, my parents would drive me to Valdosta, and the first place that my grandmother would take me in Valdosta, Georgia, was Zaxby's. And I can't believe, he said, that I am famous enough to do this commercial. It was the sweetest thing. It makes me cry now.
I know.
And it's sweet.
So earnest.
His sweet wife came in, and now they have
they were
3
so
children. They were adorable. And it was such a real moment.
It was.
I mean, and
it
he was really so excited about doing this Zaxby's. And so was Brett.
Right.
And they had a great time. And I would just say, for me, I think that we kept that in every celebrity. So
we tried very hard. It's easier to write to the truth, right? So like when we would get a celebrity, we always tried to connect whatever that celebrity was known for, or some facet of their life or career back to the product.
Yes.
I mean, we had a ton of fun with the Duck Dynasty guys, and the sets just got more elaborate, and it was such a joy to write those because we were filming what 3 at a time or 6 at a time because we would do 2 products.
Yeah.
So it was a lot, but and for the most part, I mean, the celebrities were just so gracious and really lovely to be around. We certainly have some other stories for another time.
Absolutely. Well, I will say we also did it very affordably. It was unbelievable how affordably we could do that.
We got very efficient at it for sure.
And of course, we weren't buying national advertising because they weren't national and they were only about 60% of the nation. So we did get breaks on that. But I think we're really, really proud of the work we did for them.
Very much.
But I think we're also really proud of the traffic and the sales that we drove and the incremental same store comp sales and traffic that was increased every single year for 16 years, except for one quarter. And that quarter, they were flat, but they were not down. They were never down.
It's unbelievable. Amazing.
It's unbelievable.
That is amazing. As a creative, it's so funny because I love making new things and making people laugh and all those things, but I do kind of geek out over the numbers. I don't know why. I don't necessarily understand them all the time, but I do. I like to make work that works.
You know that it works because you ask me how are sales, how are traffic. You ask me that all the time, so I know you know that.
And I don't even like math.
Well,
but I just care about is the arrow going up?
Yeah, we want it to work, and I will say we were really very successful with an incredible Zaxby's team.
Yes.
So we were partners. We definitely, when people say we're going to sit at the table and roll up our sleeves with you, we really sit at the table and roll up our sleeves with you, and we work day and night. And if something did go wrong, and there were a number of things that did, like a PR issue, we would be up all night and all next day and all night again until it was solved. And in every case, I can't think of one time where we really had anything be a problem that we couldn't fix because we worked together. Great licensees, really good people.
I'm still friends with some of our clients.
I know.
I mean, because it was just such a great
too.
relationship. I know. So that's like a good sign to me. Like there was a lot of love and mutual respect and appreciation.
Really
there,
good people.
Which is
really
what you want in an agency client relationship, right? Yeah. That makes it more fun to work on for everybody.
Exactly. So, I mean, I would say that is, we've really had the good fortune to work on so many stores and so many different brands. And I think every one of them, I believe that we've left them better or we have created something better for them to have with them. I mean, I think we're great partners. I really do. But I also think we look for great partners. We want people that are going to work with us and this whole last 3 years has been so difficult. If your agency isn't jumping through hoops, then they're not the right agency, right? Because everything's got to be flexible, everything's got to be agile. You've got a plan, and you've got to be able to get your plan in place and move forward with it. But you also have to be agile, and you have to be prepared that there may be some changes at the last minute. And I think that this agency really pivots quickly when needed. Strategically pivots. We look at the situation, we hear what the problem is, and we help you figure out the right solution and the quickest time we can turn it around that sets up the stores for success. So I think that is one of the things I think that sets us apart.
I was going to ask you, like, of all that, I mean, there's a lot of success to talk about with Zaxby's. Is there one thing that you're most proud of?
Well, I will say that we won Vendor of the Year a number of times, and that was really amazing, and it made us feel so great. And they had wonderful vendors. I mean, that's something about Zaxby's is it really had wonderful vendors and people that really cared. But to get that honor, that was really great. I would say, we had a lot of award-winning work, which they were very proud of.
Me too.
And we did a great job of tapping into all of the collegiate conferences before you could tap into the actual athletes. And we did a great job using those, and we brought back athletes that had been famous before, playing at those schools before. We brought those back when we rolled out Zaxby's Tailgate.
Right.
And we did that for a number of summers, working with, of course, their great team there that did so much of the legwork. And we did such a good job, I would say, on that with them. It was a great way for Zaxby's to have new trial and to
Yeah.
also show their true commitment to
Yes.
fans across the nation.
Yeah.
We used
And they
to,
knew their wheelhouse. They knew, like, they knew we knew, and we just kind of kept dipping our toe in for those, like you said,
Yes.
those tailgates. The campaign that our last campaign with them was what, Friends, Family, Flavor.
Yes.
Because that, we knew that's why people were going to the restaurant. So like we just kind of followed whatever the
natural
sensibility was,
Yeah.
right, of their fans, their loyal
it was
customers.
all about their fans, and their fans are so committed and still are so committed
Yes.
to them. So it's, that I would say was one of my most favorite brands I've ever worked on. It was truly an honor to be a part of it.
Yes.
And I love the team that we built here for them that stood the test of time, and helped to grow them. And, it's just exciting to see their future as well.
And I love looking back, honestly, at the breadth of work we did.
Oh, I know.
I mean, that celebrity campaign went on and on and on and on, and it never got tired to me. Like,
No.
even writing it over, it was always fun. It
Well,
was a new challenge. And then when we would highlight something like the fried pickles when they
Yes.
came out, that work. I mean,
Oh my
I look
gosh.
back at that work now, and I'm like, that still holds up.
Well, it absolutely holds up. And, we evolve things so that it wasn't always fresh for the viewer. It
Sure.
was always, and the fanatics loved it. They couldn't wait to see the next commercial. So
Right.
it would be, all over social media, go, who's going to be next? And when are y'all going to do it? I
Right.
can't wait to roll it. And everybody loved fried pickles, like you say. And I thought that the fried pickle campaign that we developed was probably one of the most creative we ever
yes.
have. And I am saying that to one of the main creators of that. So I feel
Yeah.
very confident that I could say that
I
to
love
you.
that work. I love that
was-
work.
It
Yeah.
was wonderful. So the real story is that we took that brand
Mm-hmm.
from 110 units to 900 plus. We took them to over a $2 billion sales.
Yeah.
And we did it, I believe, by making friends along the way.
Yes.
By understanding what was important to the licensees, understanding the commitment that Zach made to that brand, and making sure that that lived up to its commitments.
Right.
And we built it on affordable budgets and on really maximizing the media value as best we could. And I think on really great work.
Yeah.
But then we dug into the neighborhoods and really worked hand in hand with the licensees. And I think that's probably, again, I always say, what's the difference at St. John? I mean, we really care. People say that and it sounds really trite,
know.
but we really do.
It is true. It is true.
We do.
Well, thank you so much. I loved kind of reliving the
I
Zaxby's
know.
days with you. It's just fun to think about because we had such a good time working
It was
together so
much
closely.
fun. It was so much
Oh
fun.
my gosh. But so thank you for your time again this morning. And until next time,
Until next time,
we'll see you soon.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.